So we just got a bunch of new info on how Orb will work. The Korean devs posted patch notes for an update that will happen tomorrow, and this showcases a video about 5 minutes long which goes over all 12 active and 7 passive basic abilities for the Orb weapon. Just be aware, you will be able to apply specialization points, and some of them will dramatically change the actual effect of that skill. And additionally, all the names shown here are completely open to change, and some of the tooltips are up for debate whether they're completely accurate. These are all auto-translated, but they give a general idea on what these abilities will do, with all 7 passives here. And they do give some recommendation as to weapon pairings. So the first ability is Star Calling. You'll summon an orb at a targeted location, deal a bunch of damage to enemies within a set radius, and you can maintain to up to 3 of these orbs simultaneously. Then you have Starlight Rush. You will fire a projectile along a designated path, damaging enemies along the way. When you combine it with extra orb effects, you can deal damage from each of those orbs you've placed that are within range. Then you have Interstellar Explosion. You'll trigger a delayed blast at a chosen location, damaging enemies within the area after a short time. And with your spheres, you can cause extra explosions. Then you have a Space-Time Leap. It lets you dash in a chosen location while briefly entering stealth. And during this time, all skill cooldowns will recover much faster. However, the effect ends if you attack, transform, collide. However, it will share its cooldown with Camouflage Cloak from Dagger. Then you have Constellation Summon. You'll launch 3 summoned orbs at a target, dealing damage, and after attacking, the orbs are resummoned near that target. So this will help with placements. And if orbs already exist nearby, they will convert into additional projectiles for extra damage. Then you have Distorted Veil. You'll grant a shield to an ally, and when the shield is fully depleted, a portion of the mana used is refunded. However, this shares a cooldown with Healing Touch from the bow and Swift Healing from the wand. Then you have Void Slash. You'll strike in a designated direction with Void Energy, damaging enemies within range. With the extra orb effects, you'll also trigger a resonance effect for additional damage. Then we have Destruction Bomb. Sends a dimensional orb rolling forward, damaging enemies in its path, potentially applying a movement speed reduction. The orb's attack range, damage, and slow effect will scale with charge time. Then you have Satellite Summon. You'll grant allies the satellite effect for a set duration. This enhances skills like Dimensional Leap, Starlight Blade, and Distorted Veil through affected allies. Only one satellite effect can be applied per ally at a time. Then you have Supernova Collapse. You'll cause all active orbs to implode after a short delay, causing collapse zones at their positions. Enemies inside these zones are immobilized, and when the zone ends, explode for additional damage. And if multiple orbs are placed close together, their collapse zones link, further amplifying the effect. Then we have Constellation of Restoration. You will apply 5 stacks of healing effects to an ally, and when struck, that ally restores hit points proportional to the damage received. If blocked with a defensive skill like Barrier or Retribution, stacks are not consumed while still restoring HP. Then you have Guardian Barrier. You'll create a defensive wall at a target location, absorbing incoming damage for allies within the area. Its durability scales with the caster's base damage and lasts for a set duration. Then we have a description on the weapon passives, and they show this right here. There are ones which will help with damage, with cooldown, and even with increasing shield health proportional to maximum mana, just like Wand has for healing. A passive here, which directly encourages you to play with staff and wand skills, and one to help with mana regen when consuming spheres. Then they go on to suggest some weapon recommendations. So they have Orb and Wand here, and they're simply just highlighting how you can use it as a support effect. You got some barriers from your Orb with some extra defense from the Wand. Then they suggest Orb and Crossbow, combining the high hit rate from Crossbow with skills like Starlight Blade and Supernova Collapse, along with your Mortal Mark and your Selfless Diffusion. You'll be able to summon orbs, create explosions, zoning the battlefield, while having some defensive tools like Distorted Veil and Dimensional Leap to allow for stable execution in enemy lines, even throwing in Annihilation Barrage Shot. And finally, they suggest Orb and the Sword and Shield. So you engage with enemies charging in, using Counter Barrier, and then potentially Distorted Veil, and otherwise Guardian Barrier to help protect nearby allies. Orb will combo with some dagger skills and can completely dismantle enemy formations, while morale boosts further reduce cooldowns for sustained pressure. But yes, that's ultimately it. Orb should be available on the Korean server just later today. I will say this change with regards to the healing stats will significantly make it harder to heal. You won't have the synergy between bow and wand like before. The healing skills on bow will be significantly reduced without all those buffs from the wand, like these ones where you're gaining a ton of healing from Noble Revival, Devotion and Emptiness, Divine Choice, all won't affect any of your bow skills anymore. Additionally, some of the boosts that bow have won't affect wand, but that's not nearly as effective. So overall, I believe bow is going to suffer the most from this change. It will be interesting to see how orb will throw into the mix, but it's still very likely you will want orb plus wand, because wand still has like the massive defense boosts here. Although it is getting a bit of a nerf here, and that would just be 40% instead of 2100. Additionally, it will have a 20-second cooldown before you can receive that effect again. At least for PvE, I doubt the bow is going to lose its popularity unless bow becomes heavily used by damage dealers, because Deadly Marker, that's pretty much invaluable for any group. But yeah, all of these changes not getting boosted by all the wand buffs anymore is a massive nerf to heal over time from bow. You will not be able to crutch those anymore whatsoever, unless you really stack healing from other sources. You may very well want to go with healer armor with that plus 30% or plus whatever percent it's going to be in tier 3, could be even plus 50. Like I'm at 190% healing. If I remove these wand buffs, you can see I'm just at 44%. That's an insane amount of healing just from wand, and with bow losing all of that, your heals will be less than half the amount they were before. I can see why they're doing it, but I can also see why it might feel pretty bad as a healer. You will have to change up quite a bit how you play. You won't be able to rely on the heal over times from bow as much as before. So overall, thanks for watching. I'm going to see you guys around.